Just a moment. No, let me do it old school. Hold on a second here. You got okay. I was going to just do the whole thing. You got it, Julie? You got it? Or you're still working on it? Okay. You got it?
No, but like during COVID, so she was really sick.
Okay, we are documenting. So can we receive the treasurer's report, please?
Yes, this evening you have the financial statements, the key indicator, the cash flow, the check register, QDA and QPA financial reports, the bank reconciliation, and then skipping down to item J, action item J, the auditors are requiring me to notify the board of our MasterCard limits and point values on those. So that will be new and it will be on each board agenda. And all balances are in balance to a penny. I also have the renewal of the liability insurance with Navy Insurance at $133,506 for the year. It's a 6% increase over last year. Most of that is because everybody got an increase for the GCL Education Services contract is for a student that's a private facility. we have a student that, parents are wishing to give up their responsibility. And so we're responsible to educate at the GCL Education Services. And then internet service agreement with Bill Marisa, that 4,700, we increased our bandwidth at the elementaries. So that's the addition to increase the bandwidth. And our testing just wasn't working with the slower bandwidth. We went to 500 megs. I have one FMLA, and then the amended certificate of estimated resources and amended appropriations. Most of those are federal funds that are still adjusting this late in the year, so.
Is there a motion to approve? Johnson, and second. Other questions?
I just have one. Julie, for the Amarisa, is that how you pronounce it?
Yes,
You said this is just a bump up, right?
yes, we have a contract already in place.
Okay. And when is that renewed done? That contract?
Typically we redo those contracts for, September. They start, having meetings with, we'll start having meetings in like May. We set.
Are there other options besides that?
There are a few other options. There are 9 A sites in the state, some of them are closer. However, to change a site is a really, really big thing for a district, so it would be something that we would have to make sure we discussed. And because we don't want to have shortfall on those rights.
Maybe, more than just the bandwidth that providers provide.
They provide bandwidth, they provide our access progress book. They don't have, currently they have access to our financial package, our emails package, our cybersecurity, there's a lot of different things.
May y'all, let the company archive our emails and whatnot?
No. Vincent does a backup for us.
Right.
So Vincent's back.
Were they one time? What's the archive?
They were supposed to, but we found out that they weren't.
So they will more thorough coverage. Correct, gotcha. And with the credit cards, what do you spend the points?
There's a list of items on there, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to bring this to Amy's attention. We've never touched the place. We've never spent any, and they have items on there that you go get, we can't take the cash. They don't want you to do that.
The credit card that you use it with the statement?
The credit card. So you have to use it in the list of items. So we're gonna look at that, and we're gonna review it with Amy, and then we'll figure out what to spend our points
Is it worth it to get a credit card and get your cash back as opposed to?
on. No, it's gonna be more problems. Because, just because we have points on this credit card, we get the citation. So, this will make that go away. But if there's cash back, people don't like that either, because they don't get that as an area or a whole projects.
It seems like it was more fraudulent to let you order a barbecue grill from
Well,
this credit card company than use it to pay the bill.
here's the thing about the whole thing. I have to personally sign on this credit card for responsibility. So my argument was, I'm signing personally. How much more secure can it be? I'm responsible, whether I'm taking personal responsibility, I have a personal signature on it, but it doesn't.
I understand. This is a little bit.
It frustrated me to know it. It's very upsetting.
And I think you made us aware not too long ago, that the Ohio Department of Education was investigating 21st century again. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, the auditors have actually investigated twice. The third time we told them that someone suggested fraud, they said, quit bringing this to us, it's a waste of our time. And now someone reported it to the Ohio Department of Education, and the outcome of that investigation was,
We didn't have support for, we didn't have an invoice for paper we purchased in 2016, but everything else was perfect.
but then you were able to balance that to a tenth of a cent, is that what
Yes.
you told me?
Yes.
Once you got the invoices for paper and included it in the package?
Yes.
And every time this has been suggested, whoever's suggesting it claims they have fours full of evidence that we somehow violated the grant. And that's been found untrue, false, a lie by the auditors twice and the Ohio Department of Education. Okay, good. Thank you.
Quick question back to the or thing, just out of ignorance here. There's not a credit card option that is crafted for public employees. I mean, is this not something that, I mean, it sounds like we have a consumer-based credit card. I mean, I don't understand really.
No, this is for public entities, it's through First National Health and Benefit, but they,
We have a better mechanism for either a lower rate or something other than points we actually have to back. I mean, that sounds so consumer.
the auditors have a compliance supplement that says that it now, and this is new, by the way, we've always had a credit card for this.
Okay.
But now, the board has to be made aware of the credit card balances and if there are any points. So, it's not gonna go away even if we got a card.
Sure, yeah. And what we've had before is this is something, we've had the same part of this thing, we're just accumulating those, and it's that, communicating that to the board is the piece that you were made aware of, this needs to be done now.
No, it's a new compliance supplement. It wasn't in the compliance supplement prior to this.
Okay.
So now, every credit card and with their balance and any points that are on it has to be reported to the board. Now, what I will do going forward is as we start determining what we're gonna get for those, because in that list, there are some, technology pieces, if we can make use of those, or maybe we can do some reward items for teachers, or, I don't know, staff, whatever. But, as we decide to use those points, I will do that in that.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Please call the roll.
Mr. Galantine? Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Mr. France?
Yes.
Dr. Fuller?
No.
Mr. McMath?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 7, personnel.
Okay, we have a list of personnel items to approve. I just want to hit on a couple. Debbie Wissentine, high school math teacher, is going to retire effective December 31st, 2022. So at the end of this calendar year, she will start next school year before she retires. So we're looking at some options there. Resignations for Trent Lenhart, as the facilities and maintenance supervisor. His last day will be this Friday. So we are working on a temporary plan there until we can fill that position. Also want to note that recommending Vicki Pate as the new administrative assistant to the assistant superintendent, effective April 1st. That will allow her time in transition with the current assistant in order to be fully up to speed before she is gone. And also note the approval of Trent Lenhart for up to 20 hours at her delivery in order to help with the transition of the new buildings and grounds maintenance supervisor. He is willing to come in after his work day is completed at his new position, so that is to compensate him for that. Classified supplementals, volunteers, again, few more new substitute teachers, always like to have those on board, as well as the substitute aides, food service, and custody. So, if I can have a motion, to approve this. Any questions or discussion?
will be difficult to replace the train, you know, the picture, when you even said, let's do under, up to 20 hours, that's
Up to
just
20
we're not
hours.
fixing, they can be even hour.
Correct, correct. Up to 20 hours. We were really unsure how much time would be required, so that was the concern.
Mr. Hoover?
Yes.
Dr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. France?
Yes.
Mr. Valentine?
Yes.
Mr. McMahon?
Yes.
Motion carries.
As a separate item, I'd like to recommend the approval of our summer school directors, the administrators. Krista France to do the elementary position, and then Ryan Lincoln and Matt are going to be co-directors of the secondary position, splitting the stipend that's available to them. My motion? Those administrators? Any questions? Getting them in place now will allow them to make plans for summer school. We're trying to get some parent surveys out to get information to try and get more students in attendance. So trying to figure out what it would take to motivate students to want to be in school during the summer. And so by getting those administrators in place, we can start those plans.
Mr. Valentine? Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Mr. France? Dr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. McMahon?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Committee reports, Business Advisory Council?
They have not met. Just draw your attention to the fact that there's an active link in the minutes for their meetings are located on the BSC website. So please be aware of that.
No. For the one and only, we really don't have anything much to report outside of Mr. Reinhardt from the facilities committee, but I'm sure we'll come up with something new and exciting for the March meeting.
That's the plan.
Okay. Do you have anything, Todd?
No.
Okay. Moving
We will
on.
miss Trent.
Pardon?
We will miss Trent.
We will miss Trent, that is very true. I hope we don't miss him, personally, as much as we're gonna miss him from the professional level. Mr. Williams?
Yeah, so each board meeting, Amy and I thought, if I could give you some info for some different things coming out of my office. Last month, we talked about QDA, our agreement. So what I did, we just finished up January 28th with our third of 3 professional development days. And so what I did, I just kind of did a quick kind of outline of what we did over the 3 days. To let you know that we really did, I think, had 3 really good days. If you ask our teachers and our admin, and at the top, I kind of put what I gauged as the goal coming in, because this is one of those things that Amy got going, and I kind of took on day 1, and so it was started really well. So I just kind of added a few things to it, but we wanted to create engaging and meaningful professional development, things that our teachers would want, and you know, follow up and things like that, and offer choices, provide a format for teachers and admins to share their knowledge, allow for teachers some independence, and allow for team building. So I'm not going to go over everything we did, but I thought when I put it all together, it's pretty awesome. It's, you know, 2 pages. And, the August PD was a lot of choice. We had 5 sessions where the teachers ahead of time chose different sessions that they were interested in based on some of these things. They also all had OTES 2.0, which is our new evaluation system training. All teachers got new copier training. And then some teachers, when you see the part where it says some teachers got, that was specific teachers. So IEP time, Mrs. Makel was brand new, so we gave her a session where she met with all the intervention team. And, I led a math curriculum review, which will be our next month piece. Then in September, we had a mix of sessions where teachers could choose, but then every teacher had requested in the fall, they requested, you know, for Julie to provide some crowdfunding PD, and we listened to that, and we had every school get a chance to sit with Julie for an hour and listen to that. I think that was very good. Every teacher got some Google PD. We started giving them some individual classroom time and a whole staff building. So like each building got to have their own individualized PD. We've done CPR training. Then in January, it was less choice and more of things we needed. For example, we got the IXL program that had previously only been 5 through 12. We got it for 3-4. So like our 3rd and 4th grade teachers got IXL training. Our teachers asked for IXL, they asked for new line board training. So we provided things that they wanted. I offered a Google form and got pretty good response from teachers following every PD session. They were pleased with choice, they were pleased with team time and variety. And once again, when they asked for stuff, we tried to give it to them to make it substantial, to make it worth their while and something that they would use. So going forward next year, I plan on following kind of the same format. Last thing I'll say is our teachers and admins were amazing. They led PD sessions all through these things. So like the very first day, Mrs. Francis here, Mrs. Claxton's here, they led sessions and the teachers chose. And we had a bunch of teachers leading teachers in things that they were good at and wanted to share. So I was really proud to be a part of that. So I'm hoping to get even more of that as we go through and create some leadership abilities for our teachers and showcase their talents. Yeah, just really proud of our PD opportunities this year.
So, Mr. Williams, just a question, actually 2 questions. So, identifying training topics, so does that also come with that teacher-led as well, or are there certain things you want to get accomplished, or things that we're taking feedback on? And how does this, why does this list evolve and change as far as topics go?
There is a professional development committee made up of a group of teachers, varying levels from K through 12, myself and a couple of admins on it. And what we'll do is we'll meet here 2 more times before the end of the year, and they'll talk to their teacher groups and discuss what do I want to see for next year. And then we'll start working on those things. And then the principals and I will be talking here over the next couple of months to decide a vision we want for for our curriculum, whether it's data analysis or rigor and common assessments, just those types of things. And we'll put PD geared towards that. So it's a mix of things that we want to express to them, but also give them the ability to tell us what they want from these days.
Great. And trainers, so you mentioned some of the teachers with an outside fee. How do we identify who's training? Do we take volunteers, or do we try to identify? How do we do that?
Yeah, so I'm thinking, I'm trying to remember what Amy told me about how this all kind of started. It was just a call for presenters. So I'll do the same thing. I'll send an email out to the staff in April and May and ask for a call for presenters who has something that they feel passionate about and wants to teach. Then we'll kind of come up with choices based on that. And they said it was pretty awesome. They had to submit proposals with what they plan to do, their goals. It wasn't just, I want to talk about this. It was pretty awesome to go through. So yeah, we did that. Then some of these are like when you see like IXL assessment program. When our staff got IXL, first thing I did was call the company, and with the agent Zoom, it's pretty easy to get PD. So we had Zoom sessions that teachers could do. So when we got the new line boards, talked to Julie, got new line representatives. So it was pretty cool to, we don't want to just give them technology and say, do it, right? We're giving them the tools to be successful with it also.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. This is great. I think I love that you're involving teachers in the ground level and trying to find out what they want.
Yeah.
What they need. Yeah. That was good. Anything else for Mr. Williams?
Great, I have several items. We're going to start with a health and safety update, and to begin that, I am not going to report on COVID. I'm going to report first on the Vision to Learn program with the mobile unit that came to our high school. And that was something that was spearheaded by our nurses. It was a pretty incredible thing. This mobile unit came, they spent 2 days parked in front of our high school, And we had 43 different students who went into this mobile unit, had their eyes professionally examined. 42 of the 43 actually qualified as having a need for glasses. And so not only was that identified, but then they got to select the glasses, and the glasses were then provided to those students free of charge. So that was pretty incredible. Kudos to the school nurses. That was completely their task, and they caused that to come to fruition, and it was a really, really neat thing for our students to be able to participate in. It was the Vision to Learn program.
Is that who funds the glasses?
Yes.
And were these kids self-identified, parents identified them?
It started, there were 233 students who had failed the vision screening that the nurses had done here in the school. All of those students were reached out to with the option to be part of this program. 49 ultimately returned the consent form because we did need parental consent for them to participate. And then 5 students were absent, 1 withdrew, so we ended up with 43 who actually went through and had their eyes examined. So
Is this an annual thing?
we are hoping, this is the first year we've done it,
Okay.
we are hoping to make it an annual thing. So feel like it was very, very successful.
Have they do the opportunities outside of just the high school?
There are other opportunities, we're looking, I don't have the dates on that, but yeah. I do though want to do a quick, update on COVID cases. In short, they are plummeting in the district, across the county, and across the state, and that is good news. And while, I still think they're higher than anyone would want them to be, we are down now, Tuscarawas County active cases as of today, this afternoon, was down to 634, which, considering we peaked 4 weeks ago at over 2,600 cases, we are down to about a fourth of that right now. We're down to what we were earlier than ever. So hopefully that trajectory continues, and if it does, we will be down into a much more comfortable place in the future. So we want to add that as well. We are not getting the reports from the county health department. Does not notify us at all if they have positive cases involving our students, because there is no longer an obligation for either us or them to do any contact tracing. They're also not issuing quarantine orders. They are issuing quarantine guidance, and there is a difference. The city health department feels that they do have an obligation to let us know if they have any student 18 or under that would be ours, that would be COVID positive, and so we get a few of those notifications each week. But other than that, we are largely in the dark if anybody has tested for COVID, and again, without a quarantine order, but just having quarantine guidance, there's not a whole lot to monitor on our. So, item A. Item B is to approve the OHSAA resolution for 2022-2023 membership, as the exhibit in your folder. Item C is to approve an MOU with University of Akron to teach CCP classes at the high school for next year. We have a teacher who has gone through the process to be licensed by Akron, and so students in this teacher's class will get both high school and college credit simultaneously. Item D is to approve the MOU with Stark State for our students to take CCP classes with them next school year. Item F is the first reading of the board policy on graduation requirements, which does up our graduation requirements to insist that students will have 4 years of science and 4 years of social studies, which is a change from the 3 credits previously required of them. Item F, I'll talk about in a minute, but I'd like to approve the reestablishing of the position of Assistant Buildings and Ground Supervisor. This is a position that's currently on our administrative scale and has been for a while, but has not been filled. And item G is to approve the MOU with Kent State for our students to take CCP classes there as well. So if I could get a motion for this, then we can have some further discussion.
So moved. I'll second.
I want to talk a little more specifically about reestablishing the position of Assistant Buildings and Grounds Supervisor. I did also put at your seat some drafts of job descriptions that delineate the differences. These are in draft form. I wanted you to kind of review them a little bit and, perhaps, consider them, and we can have some further conversation before we would actually approve them. But as you know, with Trent leaving, in conversation with him, the enormity of the position and the 24/7 nature of the position have created a lot of challenges. And in my opinion, there are more challenges than one person can adequately take care of. I believe having an assistant for that position will make it more sustainable. Also know that our buildings continue to age, and with aging buildings, we are likely to continue to have ongoing significant maintenance challenges. So, with that, I believe it would be prudent on the part of the district to reestablish that position, and I would like to do that and then post for an assistant buildings and grounds supervisor immediately.
I would support that recommendation. I've had the opportunity to serve the community on the board for a little over 14 years now. And whoever we hire to be the next coordinator of maintenance, buildings and grounds will be the 6th supervisor of maintenance, buildings and grounds in 14 years. Unfortunately, there's been some unique circumstances with some of those folks. But still, it's 6 people in 14 years. I really don't see how one person can possibly do that, and I certainly don't want to minimize any of our administrative positions in the district, but something that I throw out for consideration when we're talking about this is that we have building principals who are asked and required and evaluated on managing about 20-some people on a daily basis. They manage those 20 people for 7.5 hours a day, 5 days a week. 5 days a week, there's 30 custodians working 24 hours a day in this district. And I mean, just by that alone, to put it into perspective, to try to figure out how one guy is managing 30 people over a 24-hour time span is baffling. I quite frankly, I'm embarrassed that it took a sit down with Trent for that to hit me in the face and put it in that kind of perspective, but there's truth to that. And for whatever, I think Trent's a guy of his word. It merits acknowledging that the reinstatement of an assistant was discussed with Trent. He felt like he'd already made a commitment to Great All, and he appreciated it. This is the impression I got from him. Appreciated it, thought it was necessary if we wanted to retain somebody for more than 2 or 3 years, but was more committed to that he had told someone he was going to do something and he was going to follow through on that commitment. Because I think the way I would characterize Trent's reaction to that, would that be accurate?
That is accurate.
So,
I would agree. Well, I think this is a good idea in my short time here on the board so far. I think I've already seen that that's a position that I think is pretty good. I mean, you know, what, 10 buildings, all aging, so I think it'd be pretty helpful to have that, and then trying this, you know, with a lot of work. So I think this is good, and really, this is already forecasted, this position, right?
It wasn't in the adopted October forecast, but it's been in the numbers that we're working with currently to make sure that we get through.
and we can. Although you're not happy about it.
That's your job.
I'm pleased to support.
We get that, Randy. The sarcasm part, or just the statement?
But I guess just one question. There's clarity in the rules, I guess, when we've had it before, and I guess just wanted to be sure that when it comes to kind of finalizing those duties, it feels like there could be a fair amount of crossover between these two roles and how do they actually function and how does this work together. I guess we envisioned for working on this that we would try to hire the supervisor first and then have that person have some input in finding the assistant, do their skills adjusting in job descriptions, I guess. No real question on the need for two positions, maybe more question of whether this actually should have to be.
So there were several questions there. I do believe that we would hire the head person first, or the supervisor first, and would welcome, his input on an assistant. I also believe that there's a very good chance that the specific skill sets of the individuals we feel are most qualified might impact the specific job descriptions, which is another reason I didn't want to finalize them until we saw the people. Because there's definitely some crossover, there's also a high likelihood, I think, that one or more of those individuals may have certain significant strengths that the other one does not, and it would be prudent on our part to acknowledge that in the job description. So, like I said, I tried to break it down in ways that I thought would be meaningful and fair. But depending on these people, I feel like we might swap some things if needed.
Okay, so that makes sense. And I guess just glancing at them also, this is, even though it's an assistant supervisor position, the person's going to be active or hands-on. It's not like you've got a person sitting in an office waiting for somebody to call. We've got time for that person to do it.
Correct, absolutely.
On a different matter, not to suggest that I have a personal bias, but can I read this as University of Akron going to actually have whole classes at the high school?
We have a teacher who has been approved by the University of Akron to teach a class in the high school that will also result in that student receiving credit from the University of Akron.
So it's like CCP, except the student doesn't have to go to Akron to get it.
That's correct. It's a dual credit. It would be a dual credit class where they would receive both.
Just like the one we're doing. Sorry, just looking up.
Yeah, good question.
Does Kent have that same opportunity to send to make our teachers adjunct professors?
At this point, they haven't been willing to do that,
But we'd be open to that.
but we would be open to that, yes.
And it's terrific that our kids are only 7.5 minutes away,
Yes.
from campus, that it's not that big a deal to drive down there. And use them right in the village too.
I noticed somewhat a bit of a dwindle in the number of CCP students, but that may be, I'm observing my own class, but that's it. So,
Okay. We have a motion to repeat the motion? Is there any more questions for Ms. Wentworth this evening? Okay, please call the roll.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Mr. McMahon?
Yes.
Mr. France?
Yes.
Dr. Fuller?
Yeah.
Mr. Galantine?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Do we have a motion to move into executive session to review negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment? There will be no action to follow. Mr. McMahon, and a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Galantine, thank you, and please call the roll.
Mr. McMahon?
Yes.
Mr. Galantine? Mr. France?
Yes.
Dr. Fuller?
Yes.
Mr. Weaver?
Yes.
Motion carries.
We've got to just in time.
Yeah, I think she's about ready for